Welcome to the iNETrepreneur radio show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNETrepreneur Media Network from magazines, TV, and radio network, we're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is Thursday, another Thursday in our iNETrepreneur radio land. My name is Robert Jones. I'm the owner and founder of the iNETrepreneur Network, and this is the iNETrepreneur radio show, and I'm glad to have you here today. So excited because today we are going to be talking about the season. It's the season of giving. And today we have a guest named Jim Gilloon, who I know pretty well over the last several years. He's actually my wife's, I call him my dad-in-law or something like that, but he's my wife's adoptive dad. And I'm really excited about having him on the show. So I'm going to grill him really hard. So he's going to feel like a burnt flapjack when I'm done with him. But so I'm really excited. But just a few things I just want to remind everyone about is, subscribe to our radio channel. It's at youtube.com/iNETrepreneur radio. I know it's a lot to spell, but hey, once you've had it the one time and you've subscribed to it, guess what? It starts chasing you. Also, please, like us on our Facebook page. And for more events for the iNETrepreneur Network, you can go to ntevents.net. That's ntevents.net. And you can see still virtual events, radio shows, trainings, seminars, meetings, both virtual and in person. You can see that at ntevents.net. But I am very, very grateful this year that, that the year is about over, truthfully. I remember when Sean and I were looking at the last quarter of this year, we thought to ourselves, what are we going to plan for this new year? My goodness, we're coming out of 2019. The organization's growing. We just won an award for fastest growing networking organization in Arizona with David Fagan and Icon Builder Media, and we were very excited about that. And we were excited that we were getting some recognition. We were ready to go into January and February and just growing, even going virtually at the time. Little did we know, a couple of months later, by necessity, we had to go all virtual. But I just really want to thank all the Network Together members who are now iNETrepreneur members for sticking with us. There's two things that I think about in our community, and that's family and that's service. I think of family because, we go beyond just the passing around the tip bucket or just trying to, add up the dollars and cents. What we really provide is a place where people can learn how to earn. But it goes deeper than that. It goes to service. I know I have many, many, many stories of Network Together iNETrepreneur members in need, and we, like a family, step up to the plate and help each other out. And that's what I like about a community. A community takes care of itself. But certainly in the last year, we've had a number of challenges. I know that there's been some social goings on out there, which has kind of created a little bit of chaos in different cities around the United States. We've just gotten through the election. We've also had, of course, COVID-19, which has been brought to our family and maybe even yours. I don't think there's anyone now in such a short period of time who doesn't know someone who's contracted COVID or someone who knows someone. But, in just such a short time, this terrible virus has shattered a lot of lives and has created a lot of challenges and anxiety for people. But in the same way, being an entrepreneur, one of the things that we're blessed to have is we're blessed to have that old, improvise, overcome, and adapt. And, I've seen so many things that I'm grateful in my community and what we've done, even, Sean and myself leading the iNETrepreneur Network. But my first thing I'm really thankful for is, pivoting from an organization that was all in person to all virtual, and then still having a magazine, a radio show, and a book, which I'm really happy that will be coming out in about 4 weeks. But I'm also happy with my personal family, and I hope everyone out there, just give, just be a part. If you don't have family here, reach out to other members in the Network Together community. We support each other, and it doesn't have to be an alone time. It doesn't have to be a time where you feel like life is passing you by and it's another year and there's no one to share this with. I mean, really, for me, it's really the time to reach out, shout out, and glow out to others, because sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we think that everything's going perfect in your life, but without your ask, we can't give back. We can't help. And lastly, I hope everyone this last year has become, more introspective. And what I mean by that is it's self-care. Are we meditating? Are we praying? Are we looking at our life and saying, there's just more than just making money. There's serving my community and taking care of others. And I know I've been doing that this year. I mean, we've had the book and the magazine, and we've been doing so many crazy pivots with our organization. But I am so grateful that I'm working with some tremendous organizations in the Phoenix area. The Mesa Fire Department, Foster 360, Helen's Hope Chest, and Jose's Closet. And I really want to give a shout out to PetSmart. PetSmart has, if you go to PetSmart and you have animals, which a lot of iNETrepreneur members do, right when you go out that door, spend that $5, because 10% goes to PetSmart charities, but 100% of those toys go to local kids in the community. So being foster kids or kids who may be terminally ill, I'm the one that's driving out there and I'm delivering these toys personally. Ask my wife every week. I'm picking up toys and I'm delivering toys, and I'm picking up toys and I'm delivering toys. But I'm doing it because it's a way that I can give back to the community. But enough of me. I'm just really excited today that I have Mr. Jim Gilloon, also known as my father-in-law. He is on our show today, and I just want to welcome him right now. Hi, Jim. How are you doing?
Hey, Robert. How are you?
I am doing fine. I was just talking a little bit, about everything that's been going on in the last year. And I don't think that anyone's really been immune to what's going on out there. You turn on the radio, you turn on the television, you see it in your family, you see it through social media, and so much of the time we just get bombarded with like the pain of it all. And we get so bombarded by it, sometimes you really do kind of feel alone, or is there hope, or do you have support, or, where can you go for inspiration? And for some of us, we've pivoted and we've adapted, and and for some of us, we still may be struggling a little bit. But I do know that we're here to help, and I'm sure you're with the Red Cross. You're here to help as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going back to what you said. 2020. Thank God it's almost over, but 2020 has been very busy for the American Red Cross. The constant hurricanes that came into the Gulf Coast. We had like 4 or 5 in a row in less than 3 months coming into the Gulf Coast. And then we had the California West Coast fires. So it just constantly kept going and going and going. And on top of that, with the atmosphere of COVID, okay, because normally when we set up shelters, we put them up in a gymnasium, a high school gymnasium, or some large building that we can put our shelter set up there. But now, it's more of a dormitory type of shelters now. We put them up in hotel rooms. So,
well, and a lot of people don't think of this, that, many, many, many times, Jim, we think about first responders. They are in the line of fire, putting their lives, in the throes of this dangerous virus each and every day. I know people personally that work in hospitals. I know people that are paramedics. I know peace officers, police officers. They're all in it. You could even say, you could even add teachers as first responders almost anymore. I mean, with the amount of kids that are coming in and out of schools, I know that we're on hybrid schooling right now. So we have kids coming in and out of the house, and part of me thinks that there's more shuffling and there's more chances in a certain way of capturing COVID than at any other time. But, here's the other things. People don't actually also think about the media as being kind of a first responder-esque. Now, I'm not saying putting your life in danger per se, maybe in the same way, but you as a media person, you travel to a lot of different destinations, and you have to be very, 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 very careful yourself. Isn't that correct?
Oh, absolutely, yes. A lot of it's now virtual, so I don't go out to deployment.
Okay.
So a lot of it's virtual. If it's a local disaster, then I would go out there because they're not traveling on airplanes and things like that. So I would travel in my own car. But we're very cautious on, with the COVID, making sure everybody's protected. We've had many volunteers who caught COVID throughout the country. So, everything turned out great. So there was no fatalities or anything like that. But yeah, we just got to just be careful.
Well, and I think that's something else that we need to bring up as well. Many volunteers are also risking themselves to help others in this time. And there's standards of precautions across the country are very different from state to state, even city to city, at this point in time. And I'm sure that the Red Cross probably has maybe some parameters in place for their volunteers and their staff.
Yes, they do. 90% of our workforce are volunteers, okay, throughout the country. So, yeah, there is protocol. They are tested before they go out on deployment, and they're tested each day, every other day, depending on what their location. Like for the hurricanes, each staff member and volunteers were tested daily. And if something happens, obviously we keep them away from that situation. But you can't say enough of those volunteers. They did this out of their heart. They volunteer their time, their separation of their families. So I can't give enough kudos for all these volunteers. And like I was a volunteer too for 7 years.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, because there's been kind of a long and winding road for you to get there, and you had to serve for quite some time before you were able to be a part of the Red Cross family as well. But I know you really well, but a lot of our listeners may not know you as well as I do, Jim. And you really do have a pretty fascinating history. Your background, from when you were born to how you got to this country, to even the first language that you spoke was certainly different than the language that you're speaking now, I'm sure. But yeah, go ahead and tell us, about your parents, or where you were born, and at least what got you to the United States early on.
Well, I didn't have a choice, but I was born in Milan, Italy, and I lived there for 4 years. Going into my last year, my fourth year, I ended up in an orphanage with my smaller brother. And we were adopted together through the Catholic Church. So I didn't speak any English, obviously. I was, my first 4 years was all Italian, and I still don't remember. I wish I could, but being raised from Brooklyn parents who adopted me, they didn't know Italian, so I had to learn their language. And a Brooklyn accent is a whole different language, especially them trying to teach. They try to teach you English. It's like, oh, this is what it's supposed to sound like. It's like, oh. So, yeah. And so we left Milan together, and 4 years after I was born, and ended up in Long Island with my little brother. But my Brooklyn parents adopted us. They also adopted my older brother. So apparently they wanted to adopt kids. It was 3 boys. So no sisters, nothing.
Well, I think it's really interesting, though, because I hear this word, and probably a lot of our listeners hear this word too, and that's orphanage. And I know many times they may portray orphanages, a certain way on TV, and maybe they're actually different, or maybe it's actually the same. I mean, I myself don't know, but it sounds like a care center in a certain way. But you were with a Catholic orphanage, is that correct?
Yes, through the Catholic Church. Yes. So
yeah,
nuns there, and
so it wasn't like sponsored by it. It was actually the Catholic Church that actually held this orphanage. So tell us a little bit about your experience, because I can't help but think that your time as an orphan in an orphanage, doesn't reflect upon how you serve now.
Well, I didn't have much memory as being in an orphanage. The only memory I have is flying from. I was sitting in the flying in the plane, and I was sitting near the window, and there was a nun sitting next to me holding my little brother. So I was looking outside and say, where am I going? And that's really, that's the only thing I really can remember. Being 4 years
Wow.
old
Okay.
and being in an
Yeah.
orphanage. Apparently, my parents, something happened to my birth parents that ended me up in an orphanage.
So you came. You don't remember too much about. I always say, most of our learning comes within the first 2 years of life. So I'm sure there was some learning there that we can't even articulate in words. But I do think that there probably was a certain amount of giving that kind of became a part of you even early on, even if you don't remember it. But coming to the United States, coming as a young child, riding with the nun and your brother, I'm sure there was maybe somewhat of an anxiety coming into this country, and going to a place where, well, you know what, they may not speak Italian anymore. I mean, I don't know what does that look like for a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old in those early years.
Probably scared and confused, basically. Yeah. Talking about giving, I had these great parents from New York who adopted me that gave up their life to have 2 more sons enter the family. They already adopted my older brother, and they got out of their heart and they said, "Oh, we're going to adopt this package here, so-called package, 2 brothers from Italy." So, given there's some great parents there that did that. They gave from the heart.
Yeah, I mean, so you're in you started going to school. Did you go to Catholic school, Jim, or how was your upbringing after coming to the United States for a while?
Well, no, I went to public school during the day, during the week,
Okay.
I should say, but I went to catechism on Saturdays. And then when I got old enough, I became an altar boy. So I worked the Sunday masses and then worked the funerals and worked the weddings. So basically, I lived out of the Catholic Church. I never got.
My goodness. So when did you graduate high school? Well, not the year. I won't put that on you. I want to ask you when you graduated high school. You graduated. So what were some of the first occupations that you did after you graduated high school?
Well, in my heart, I wanted to travel. And so I got, first, right out of high school, I should say, is I worked for a defense company called Fairchild out in Long Island. And because I took up trade school during high school as an aircraft mechanic. So I built planes, airframe power plant. I had a taxi license. I could taxi a certain plane around. So in the heart, I wanted to become an aircraft mechanic. So I worked for Fairchild building A-10s at that time. So then we had.
Is that a McDonnell Douglas plane? The A-10? I'm not sure if it is.
It used to be a Fairchild. It might be McDonnell Douglas now, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I only asked that because my dad actually worked for McDonnell Douglas for a while. That sounds like the series they've had. So I mean, but you came to Arizona somewhere. When did that happen?
Well, I got married in the East Coast in New York, and then we lived out of Ohio for a while, which was my ex-wife's hometown, and we decided to move to Las Vegas. Okay, and that's where I met your wife after that, and her mother, and we met there. So I lived in Vegas for about 16, 17 years, and then decided to. I got offered a job with the Chamber of Commerce in Arizona, in Florence, Arizona, and so I moved down there, and that's my whole life, starting with Arizona, which it was a great decision. I just love Arizona.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really interesting. That's when we met. We met when you were at the Florence Chamber of Commerce, and I remember that's the time when you and Sean were doing the Chamber Without Borders, and you guys were kind of like renegades and rebels to the whole area, Pinal County and part of Maricopa, because you guys really actually lived to that. You didn't stay just in Florence. You went to other towns trying to create impact for other business owners, didn't you?
Well, yeah, because there wasn't 300 businesses in Florence. So our goal was over 300 businesses. So we had to go outside of Florence. And so we went to Casa Grande and the surrounding areas there. we both did a fantastic job, I presume. We started off with 100, maybe 100 members, and we weren't sure if they paid anyway. They weren't paid members. By the time we both left, we had about 325 paid members in Florence, in that little town of Florence, the prison town, we so call it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it was what was it, the gateless community or the gated community?
We had this. We have the largest gated community in Arizona.
Right. Well, what I found really fascinating was Network Together was really a small networking organization. Then we only had 2 or 3 chapters. And what I really loved about what you and Sean did is you created such a support for Network Together that I believe that together we both grew because of our association in a rather rapid time. I remember your organization like doubled or tripled in size, and ours certainly doubled. And it was really interesting because people were actually joining both organizations and getting value out of each.
Exactly, yes, and that's how I met you. You were at one of my mixers handing out gifts for the raffle.
I still remember that day.
Who the heck is this guy?
I know. I still remember. I remember walking over to Sean after I was doing it for about an hour, Jim, and I go, "Hey, honey, I don't think he likes me very much."
Well, if you're going to take my job, go for it then. Introduce me to.
Yeah, I felt a little bit uncomfortable there for a little bit because not just because you were protective over Sean. I mean, you didn't know who I was, and I know that you're being protective over. You knew her probably at least over 15 years at that time. You're her adoptive dad. And here comes this guy named Robert Jones of this old networking organization over here. He probably said, wait a minute, I'm putting the brakes on this.
I know. Who's this guy from Queen Creek?
You're right.
I never heard of Queen Creek either.
But yeah, I mean, I still remember people always ask me, how did you and Sean met? And I said, well, networking. I mean, one day, there's a gal named Michelle Lowry, and she had Sean as the speaker at this networking event. And I remember walking into the room, and I was, unfortunately, there was no chairs left, so I was like hunched on this little like stool, and I was looking up at her, and I went, wow, someday that's going to be my wife right there. And I remember after we got married, I go, so does this mean I can call you my net wife?
Net wife. There you go.
So, my goodness. So that was pretty that was pretty fun.
I enjoyed meeting you there, and Network Together, it's not just a business connection, it's also a social connection, because I met my fiance through Network Together.
Yeah. I mean, every time Sean brings that up, I always think of her because she was dancing around when she knew you guys were dating. She's like, we should start NT singles. I thought, I don't know. That sounds like a lot of
too much pressure.
A lot of challenges in itself, but yeah, I mean, Jim, I mean, now you work for the Red Cross, but before then, you were also in the marketing and publication industry, in addition to working at the chamber, and then you also were working with Money Mailer. And I still remember the day that you came in and you told us, you said, hey, I did it. The Red Cross, and you went through these interviews and they hired you for Red Cross. That must have been kind of a life-changing experience. Tell us how that was.
Yeah, I just enjoyed volunteering for the Red Cross. I was a volunteer for almost seven years. I started out in Vegas as a Red Cross volunteer in public affairs, and when I moved down to Arizona, then I continued my volunteer work, but as marketing too. And I just wanted to do it. And then this position opened up in Phoenix, and I said, I'm going to go for it. And it took several interviews and all that, because they have a lot of red tape, because it comes out of DC. I joined the staff as a communications and marketing manager, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I enjoy it. I just love it.
Well, and what's great about the Red Cross is, a lot of people don't know that the Red Cross is really one of the, if not the first, not-for-profit organizations created, isn't it?
It's almost 150 years old, and it was founded by one field nurse, during the Civil War. She worked in the field, helping the soldiers out during the Civil War back in 1881. Was the creation of the American Red Cross.
Yeah, and so tell us some things that I believe that we all have an idea of how the Red Cross works, but they work with organizations, they work with businesses, they work with community alliances. They bring shelter to people, they bring water and food and comfort and support. But I'm sure there's a whole part of Red Cross we don't even know about. Tell us some of the things we might not know about the Red Cross.
Well, there's other services that we also do. We call it blue sky and gray skies. Gray skies are the obvious ones of the hurricanes, natural disasters. Blue skies are the training, CPR classes, babysitting classes. A lot of people don't know about that. We can certify babysitters and have a certificate. So it's comforting to know that, hey, if you're going to hire a babysitter to watch your kids, this person knows CPR and all the safety of being a babysitter. Another one is the services to the armed forces, which is SAF. Now, what that entails is this works throughout the whole world. So if you're, for example, you're in the military, okay, and you're overseas and there's an emergency that comes up, or you have an emergency, the Red Cross will contact your family that, hey, Robert's having problems over there. He's in a hospital. He's severely injured. We connect the family members to the service members throughout the world.
Wow, I think that's really creative, but there's still more things that the Red Cross does as well. I mean, and a lot of people don't know that the Red Cross and the Red Crescent are also sister organizations in different parts of the world, because the American Red Cross does more than that. I mean, the Red Cross itself is truly an international organization, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's the Red Crescent it's the same organization, but the Red Cross in some Muslim countries, it's not good to have a Red Cross, so it means something else in their country. So they created a Red Crescent for the Red Cross in the Muslim countries. So that's the difference there. But we do immunizations around the third world world, I should say. And, so we help the other countries across the country, like the Bahamas, when they had that big hurricane that came in last year. That was the English Red Cross that handled that. But we were there to support them on anything they needed. So basically, the Red Cross, Red Crescent, everything is all one group.
Now tell us a little bit about Red Cross and either community involvement or even supporting businesses, because I know that Red Cross does work with businesses in different capacities. I mean, not as an ad agency, of course, but more as a cause-related marketing, arm of many organizations. Tell us about how the Red Cross works with businesses.
Businesses basically would go through the blood donation. Okay. Yeah. We have a certain saying, roll up your sleeves, open your heart. That's our slogan. Okay. So we work with a lot of businesses to have blood drives at their location or the schools. Now with the COVID, obviously there's no school. There's no, a lot of businesses can't have groups of people at their location. So that's why it's so important that you go out and donate blood, because we have other locations that you can go to donate. We spoke about this before the show, that what's the mission of the Red Cross? Well, the mission of the Red Cross is to prevent and alleviate suffering, through the face of emergencies by mobilizing the powers of our donors and our volunteers. That says it all in one, because we rely on our donors, businesses, and we rely on our volunteers to do our work.
Well, and also with the Red Cross, I mean, I liked that there are some things I didn't know. Training for babysitters. I know that I don't see that in very many programs. Certainly none of my kids' schools are in the school district. So that's something for young parents who have young kids who need some self-care. They just need to get away. to see if that babysitter has any Red Cross training, or even, talk about that or promote that. I think that that's pretty good. Now, along with,
I also wanted to add too is our lifeguard training too. All lifeguards be trained, and 99% of them go to the Red Cross for their certifications. So all lifeguards have to be trained.
So with your background, Jim, specifically, what does your position entail? You are in a marketing position for the Red Cross. I know you talked about it's coming on to shows, it's doing promotion, do some public relations, but I know that there's so much more to your job than just promoting who Red Cross is. There's some rolling up the sleeves, from press releases to probably writing articles, and a lot of different things. You use a lot of business skills in your profession that people may not know. I mean, you can help other businesses. The Red Cross, and you are also part of the Network Together organization. You're also a resource for them as well.
Yeah, with the businesses, we work with the fundraising department. Okay, so we always reach out to the businesses. Hey, you want to help support the Red Cross or help support this certain disaster that came up? A lot of times you don't have to call them; they call us. They said, "What can we do to help you?" Okay, and these businesses would donate, dollars or time, or like Anheuser-Busch. Okay, they stopped half of their production in St. Louis to make hand sanitizers. That's going to be sent out throughout the country to all the shelters. So they got these bottles. I got one right here someplace. Up there.
And what's crazy is, why did that not make the news? To me, that's phenomenal. That's like the news you want to use. It's good news to hear.
Sometimes a lot of business don't want to say anything. They just want to keep it quiet. And they say, hey, do me a favor. We want to help you, but just keep it low. That's fine. They'll eventually find out who did it. So they don't like to broadcast it that much. Okay. Oh, I found it. Here it is.
I like it.
It looks like
bring it over.
Like a can of beer.
Well, I know I'm going to go on the different direction though, but there are a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners, maybe even larger businesses, and they look at the Red Cross, or they look at the American Cancer Society, or they may look at some of the other organizations out there that actually give back, but they also they take donations, they take goods, they may draw blood, they provide education. I mean, and some of them, they quite frankly may say, why do I want to do that? Why do I want to get involved? Why do I want to spend the time, the money, the effort to have my business or my employees or someone else, come to serve within the Red Cross? I mean, there is something out there called what's in it for me? And I know that for me, I don't understand it, but I know not everyone may come from a service-oriented background. And sometimes if they just get that one glow stick, they may say, you know what, that works for me. I can serve and I can give back, but it also helps my bottom line, and maybe it helps with even morale for an organization.
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't reach out to our partners or businesses for profit. Okay. We go and ask them for help financially.
Well, and I don't mean it like that. I want to make sure, meaning like if I'm a Main Street business and maybe I've never worked with any organization, but there is benefits with working, with an organization like the Red Cross for that benefit. It may not be necessarily direct ROI, but I'm sure there's some other peripheral benefits that are offered for them.
Right, it's exposure for them too. Okay, it's like Anheuser-Busch didn't want their name all over the place. It ended up doing that anyway. But it's basically exposure too. Hey, look at what Network Together did. They helped us, start a blood drive or something like that. Or they had a couple of volunteers come out and hand out water for an hour. We're not asking people to volunteer for 24/7. If you can just hand out water for an hour, you're participating. But it's basically exposure. It looks good for your business, and it looks good for everybody else.
Well, and here's the other thing, Jim. I've also found this through my service. sometimes that service is rewarded, maybe not in selling something that day, because that's not what it's about, but it's the connections and the relationships that are built. I say for many storefront business and service professionals and those who sell goods, certainly, the very people who are volunteering and you're there as well also can become your clients later on down the road.
Right, exactly. Yes, actually, we pick up a lot of clients, so-called clients, through our smoke alarm campaign. Okay, we go to individual homes and install free smoke alarms to the people who don't have them at their homes.
Mm-hmm.
So we get a lot of local participations. That's including the local fire department, police department, the government officials. One of these before COVID, we had smoke alarm installs. We had over 250 people helping install smoke alarms.
Wow, that so the Red Cross, I know, it has really changed. Like in the last, I don't know, maybe 3-4 years, they have gone from really kind of being an old school organization in regards to marketing to like they have really done this image makeover and embracing social media and digital media and changing what people think about the Red Cross. What are some of the methods, in addition to radio shows or getting in the news, that the Red Cross now implements so people can kind of keep abreast of what's going on?
Oh, social media is the number one now. Obviously newspapers are not being read that much, so social media has taken over. So we have social media accounts: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, obviously, and other social media platforms. So that's basically 90% of my marketing is through social broadcast.
And even the time that you've been there, Jim, you've seen a lot of changes just since you've been on board of the Red Cross, correct?
Yes, I have. Yeah, it's basically, well, with COVID now, we just virtually talk to each other now. So
Yeah.
that's one thing I miss is the the face-to-face meetings, the contact with your colleagues and things like that. But social media is very important, and you hear bad things about it. They control your life. They'll post something or delete things, but social media people, Facebook, Twitter, and all that has been very kind to the American Red Cross. They just open it up for us, and they forward things, anything that they need or emergencies that people need help. They get out there and help us out too. So, like I said, I do 90% of my marketing is social media.
Well, the American Red Cross is a very large organization, so communication is everything, both internally and externally. And I'm sure you probably have pipelines both ways. When it comes to staff and when it comes to like megaphoning out to people for volunteers for any type of disaster, are there any tools that you use that even maybe in small ways business owners might want to use? I mean, you said TikTok. You talked about quite a few tools. I know. Sean's more into TikTok right now than I am. I'm still like, give me the LinkedIn. I'm there. Give me the LinkedIn. Give me the YouTube.
Well, TikTok's more entertainment type of deal. Okay, it doesn't it doesn't have enough time to give our message out. So we're not there for entertainment. We're there to express. We got some news to tell you. So basically, that's what our stuff is. But I think the biggest tool is that we found out, and helps me a lot too, because we have a lot of Spanish speaking throughout the country, is the translation app. Okay, I've used that many times. That translation app helps a lot. And I'm talking to the Red Cross right now. We have internal classes that you can take and just to fill in your resume. So I'm trying to push the Red Cross to teach Spanish classes throughout the country.
So a translation app, is that an app that is the Red Cross, or is it an app that anyone can get?
Anybody can get, yeah. But
what app is that, Jim? I mean, because I'm interested. Maybe others are as well.
There's 100 of them. The one I use is I'm sorry here.
No, that's fine. This is where this the learn how to earn, right?
It's a Google Translate. That's the most
Google
popular.
Translation. Okay, yeah, absolutely. We've been doing that.
It helps a lot, and we can, while we're talking, especially with our volunteers who's out of disaster, talking to the Spanish-speaking family, he can hit that. He can use that translation app, and now they can communicate each other on what that family needs instead of trying to figure it out.
So I'm gonna ask you a series of tough questions. So here we go, because we have an hour show. First tough question: what's been the hardest adjustment for you working for the Red Cross?
Adjustment of seeing people suffer. I remember working a fire back in Vegas. It was like 3 a.m. Got called out, and I was filling out paperwork with the family. I had one of their daughters hanging onto my leg, holding one of the stuffed animals I gave them to hold, so they're more comforting. And she was just grabbing my leg while I'm filling out, and she was scared. She goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
So that was really tough. It's tough to see that suffering. So I have to learn how to adjust on that.
Right. What have you seen so far that just melted your heart?
The kids. It's tough to see the kids. I was at the El Paso shooting, the mass casualty thing that happened. Was it last year? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was tough. The Red Cross was there to support, because most of all the actions was taken care of from the FBI and the federal level. But we were there to support the shelter and all that. And the hardest thing was they set up a little corner of the arena for the kids while the parents were trying to get organized and all that. And these kids were just sitting there with the carpet and playing with toys. And all of a sudden they were doing some construction in the arena, and there was a couple of bangs. One of the girls stood up and said, "Uh-oh, here we go again." And she thought it was more shooting. And it's like, wow, I could not believe she said that.
That would be tough. You got me on that. I almost can feel that. What is something that the Red Cross, you believe, needs like right now? What is something that they're always challenged? Is it filling places, for volunteers? Is it getting blood? Is it donations? Is it space? What are the biggest needs that you see that the Red Cross has?
Well, the biggest need is blood drive volunteers, blood ambassadors, especially in the Tucson area. What that is, it's a volunteer to come in. When you come in, he or she would take your temperature and escort you in. And while you're giving blood, and after you give blood, that person would comfort you, give you a snack, drinks, and just monitor, see how you're doing. Just give a good experience in giving blood, because a lot of people are scared giving blood with a needle and all that, and especially at the COVID time. So we just want people to be comfortable with that. So we're looking for volunteers for that. But basically, we can take anything. Okay, we're looking for time, blood, and money. That's all.
Time, blood, and money. So I'm writing that down. Time, blood, and money. Not in that order, even.
Yeah.
So last question: what has been the hardest thing for you? What has been the hardest pivot for you since COVID? What have you really had to adjust for you personally?
Well, I'm a big traveler. Okay, I was single for a long time, and I like to travel. I wanted to go places. I can't sit in a room or sit behind a computer, which is challenging to me now. Sitting in the computer 24/7 in my own house. So that's the biggest challenge today, because I just wanted to get out and meet people. That's the whole big reason I wanted to join the Red Cross as an employee. So I wanted to travel, meet people, help them out. That has stopped a little bit. So that's a challenge there, but I'm adjusting.
Yeah. So how much time are you on Zooms then with your fellow Red Cross staff?
I swear to God, we were in the office. We have more meetings now on Zoom or Microsoft Teams than ever before. I said, wow, I hope we can get back to the office so I don't have to see any more meetings.
I know. People joke with me. They always go to me. It's like, oh my goodness, I cannot wait till this COVID thing goes away. They'll even say, I cannot wait till this COVID thing goes away, because I can be more productive, because right now I'm going to so many meetings. I can't be productive anymore because I have to get to another meeting.
Yeah, this is my 4th meeting today. But it's like, wow, man, I didn't get a break.
Well, and lastly for our show today, I just I do want to thank you for you working with the Red Cross. I know it's a paid position now, but it took you, 7, 8 years to get to that position to be paid. You put in your dues. I still remember you as a volunteer, working at a full-time job, and in a way, it's kind of like the military service. I was in the Marines. When duty calls, you go.
Yeah.
And you put down friends. You had to put down the family. You had to put down, whatever you had in your life at the time to go wherever it was. You'd board a bus. You would get in your car. You'd get on a plane. You'd be in these different designations as a volunteer, and you have always been first to serve and first to help others. And again, it takes me full circle back to, when you came across the other country, they always say it takes a village to raise every child. In a certain way, you had a village, and somehow that's affected you in such a way that you've given back, and you're giving back now continually. And so, we're at that time of year. 'Tis the season of giving. What are some of the things, Jim, that you're grateful for right now? You said Arizona, where you live or your job, and what are some of the other things that you're really grateful for right now in your life?
Right. Well, I was grateful for somebody adopting me. Who knows? I could be still in Italy walking the streets. I don't know. I have no idea. But I'm grateful that this family adopted me and brought me to the best country in the world. So I had the opportunity to grow up here. The other thing too is that I'm just grateful for my health. Okay, I haven't caught COVID, which is great. I don't get sick that much. I'm grateful for my family. You guys are included in that too. So I'm just grateful for the country we live in right now. Besides all the crap you hear all over the news, I think this is the greatest country in the world.
I agree. I believe, there's a saying that says the power is in the people, and I truly believe it. I know that you know this. I've been working on the book, The 365 Days of Networking Quotes. That was the original name of the book, but I've changed the name to The Art of Connection, and it went viral. We ended up having over 10 countries representative in over 25 states as well. So it's been really good. But Jim, I'm going to roll your banner across here for a few minutes or for a few seconds, however that looks. I don't know, minutes or seconds or fractionals, But tell us the best way that people can get a hold of you so they can serve with you and the Red Cross and their community.
Well, if you want to call me direct, by all means, give me a call at that number below, or my email be the best at it's james.gilloon@redcross.org. And, or just go to the website, the Red Cross website, redcross.org. You can donate, you want to volunteer, you can sign up to be a volunteer. Everything on that website is what you need right there. So it's redcross.org.
All right. Well, Jim, I really appreciate you being here on the show today. It was a great conversation. I have truly seen you get up in the middle of the night, take calls, take texts. I mean, whatever it takes to serve. And I just really appreciate what you do. And I'm really grateful that you took your time to be on this show today.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me time and talk about my company, my business.
All right. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Take care.
Network together. It's all about connections. Expand your sphere of influence. Build relationships. Be part of something bigger. Be part of Network Together.
Hi, my name is Nathan Hirsch, and I build and even sell businesses completely run by virtual assistants. That's right. No office, no US employees, just remote, non-US virtual assistants. And I recently scaled an 8-figure business with just VAs. Now, I want to teach other people how to do the same with my new venture, Outsource School. We teach you how to interview, onboard, train, and manage virtual assistants at a very high level. We also give you access to our standard operating procedures, our library of SOPs, and a tool to create and share your SOPs. Not to mention community, support, live coaching calls to help you build amazing virtual teams and avoid the issues that your competitors are probably having. If you are interested, go to OutsourceSchool.com. You can grab a free trial to check out what Outsource School is all about.
All right, great. Thank you so much again, Jim, for being on our show today. I do want to remind everyone to go to ntevents.net. That's ntevents.net. That's where we have our radio shows, our meetings, and any events that we may be offering, both in person and virtual. Go there to check out what we're doing. We also have an academy, a real estate academy. We're coming out with our marketing academy, so I'm excited about that. Our next guest is going to be coming on to the show. And I'm glad he's on here. I've known this gentleman for quite some time. He is, like, to me, seems like he's one of the original Network Together members, although we've been changing ourselves into the iNETrepreneur Network with our image makeover. I would like to say hello to Mr. Steve Rozansky. Hi, Steve. And Steve has a silent voice on right now, so he has the line going through his
There we
microphone.
go. Any better? Hey,
Yeah.
how are you? Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you as well. Thanks for coming on the show today. I wasn't sure if you got to hear much of the interview I had with Jim, but he is a tireless worker with the Red Cross. And I wanted to bring you on today as well, Steve, because one of the things that we're talking about is, you know, during the last year, we've gone through a lot of challenges, uncertainty, anxiety, you know, all of us, business owners, family. I mean, I've seen people, I've known people who have died of this thing called COVID. I've seen civil unrest. I've seen crazy elections. I've seen people who are like the ostrich and they just put their hand they put their head into the ground, and you and I aren't like that, but that doesn't mean it's all peaches and cream. There's been a little bit of suffering on our end to try to pivot, and this back in March, Sean and I in 72 hours had to go from a all in-person networking organization to an all virtual networking organization. And that was quite a stretch for us at the time, but we learned a lot of things. We pivoted and we became an international organization as much as we are also a local organization. So I'm sure that things have changed for you as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Tell us a few things that Friendly Auto, Steve Rozansky is owner and chief mechanic, ASC certified for about 40 years now. I like to say 40 years because you just don't look like you've been doing this for 40 years. You look too damn good looking for that. But
I haven't been. It's actually 44 years. So
44 years. So let's 40 plus 4. You know. But hey, welcome to the show. We don't have too much time to go into the background, but talk to our audience a little bit first about, this last year, some of the things that you're grateful for, maybe some of the pivots that you've had to go through with both your family maybe and your business.
Well, obviously in business, this just threw us for a loop. In fact, I remember when it really hit us. We were out for my wife's birthday, March 13th. We were out with actually another couple from Network Together. And all of a sudden, we were in Phoenix and the phone started ringing for them. They got all these cancellations and all of a sudden customers are calling me. I don't want to bring my car in next week. We don't want to get COVID. And in an instant, just life changed for us. We went, wearing masks, buying toilet paper. I mean, the good thing is I have a lot of connections. So we were able to score about 8,000 rolls of toilet paper. And we don't laugh. I still have a lot.
Yeah.
We gave away 2,000 rolls of toilet paper when nobody had any. And, we had to adapt, and adapting is something I'm used to. I've lived through, oh my God, Hurricane Gloria in 1985. I mean, we had so many hurricanes out on Long Island. Hurricane Sandy was a huge one. 9/11. I mean, you could see the smoke from my building. So I have been through nationwide tragedies, the great blackouts, things like that, and we've adapted. So when we had to adapt to this, I was kind of like, all right, here we go again. But I'm grateful. I have an awesome crew of people. from the top, Eric Ariola, who, he's presents Friendly Auto in the group. And it gave a unique challenge to everybody. A repair shop is not exactly hospital clean. It's a very dirty environment. And now we have to make our technicians adapt to working in a sterile environment. Kind of a hard thing to do, but we did it. We made changes. We started sterilizing furniture. We closed the waiting rooms. We got rid of our very, very famous popcorn machine. I mean, people come just for popcorn.
Which was devastating for me because I was over there just last week meeting with Greg. Greg, everyone is he's a home improvement specialist, and I peeked around there and that popcorn machine was gone. I was devastated, Steve, not to see it there.
Yeah, I know it's tough. I have customers asking, but we can't do that now. Yeah. So we're going to microwave popcorn. But we have to deal with we have a very big senior population in Arizona. Now the snowbirds are back, so we have a lot of people who were quarantined in Minnesota, Wyoming, Wisconsin, and now they're coming here, and we have to make sure that they're wearing a mask. We're not doing any hand-to-hand, no fist bumping, no handshaking. We have a giant screen in front of my workers. Everybody's wearing the masks. We are playing it safe. I know there are shops and other businesses that are like, they're not. We are safe. We are sanitary. We have hospital-grade sanitation equipment. If you want your car sanitized, we don't even charge for it. It's a wet soak like they use in your home if you want that done. So we've had to adapt to that, wiping cars down. It's just crazy. But, first thing was getting product.
Well, I mean, and it's one thing to say that you do it. I mean, and I get that a lot of businesses don't do it, but you're not just saying it, you had to train it. That was probably totally different. I mean, you're not training cleanliness here last year. You're not training sanitary practices last year. What you did or what you're doing now is totally different than that. That means you had to have a buy-in for your managers, your supervisors, your mechanics, anyone who greets. I mean, that had to be a total change for everyone in your company. And
it was definitely,
maybe they didn't. I'm sure there was a lot of internal conversations with staff and crew.
Well, yeah, you have to walk a fine line because, again, throughout this, there was a very, very tough election. And, we're in a 50-50 state right now. So, we have a policy. We don't discuss religion in politics. It's just we won't. So it was really hard trying to convince some employees like this is the right thing to do when their own gut is telling them this goes against their political beliefs. So it was really, really challenging and hard to separate these guys. So, but we did it. And I'm very proud of my staff. We're doing good. We're back to where we should be. And, we're still here delivering a good product. And if people want us to pick up and deliver, we'll do that, whatever it takes. And knock wood, not one employee has gotten sick. If they're feeling bad, they could have a cold. We do make them get a COVID test before they're allowed back at work. And we're maintaining a very strict policy with this. And so far, it's working. We're all good. Everybody's been tested, so we're very happy.
Well, and I think that you look at your business much differently than really a lot of businesses. Auto repair shop be damned. I mean, one of the things that I see with you, Steve, is you really look at it as a relationship, and you really do hold to the idea that yes, I'm a mechanic. You could say that I'm certified. But really, I'm a marketer of this company. I'm a steward of what we do. I own every conversation that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. Out here and out everywhere. I mean, there are shops that are being, like Sun Devil, Wilhelm, and BrakeMax just got bought out by a giant conglomeration. So now there's none of that personal touch. And it's one of the reasons I don't own more locations. I could easily open up 2 or 3 more shops. We'll be busy. The problem is who's watching the store. If you have 2 stores, then you have to really trust that manager. And can you really trust everybody? How do you know that guys who did a big job is not going to make sure the hinges don't squeak or the wiper blades are perfect? There's a personal touch. We are a huge repair shop. I mean, we're 22 bays, but that little personal touch that we do here is you can't buy that anywhere. And we're a neighborhood shop. And I like to call ourselves that. And I don't call my guys technicians. We're mechanics. Technicians are more parts changers. My mechanics, we know what's wrong. We know how to fix it. And, you know, me doing this so long, I am in touch with every single car that's here. I walk through the shop. I mean, I did 10,000 steps already today, just walking through the shop, looking over shoulders.
Yeah. Right there it is.
Right. And there are other shops that, you know, you go to these multi-franchise owners, 4 or 5 shops. Where's the owner at? How could anybody possibly guarantee that the staff is doing an excellent job and they're not looking at it as customers? See, we put people before profits, not the other way around. I don't want to be a millionaire. I don't want to own 20 shops. I want to make a living. I want my guys, more important, to make a good living. And I want to give the community back. We do a lot of give back to the community. We do food drives. We donate to a halfway house upstate, Midwest Food Bank. I mean, we're involved in a lot of different things, and we give back. And that's what I pride ourselves on. We're a neighborhood shop, but a giant neighborhood shop. You know?
Well, and that's something that Jim and I were talking about a little bit earlier. And we were talking about cause-related marketing. You know, really, someone else coined that. You and I, we just look at it. Just needs to happen. We just need to do it. You know, I look at advertising 2 ways, Steve. I look at, you advertise to a community, or your community advertises for you. And to me, I know you're doing it the right way. You know, if you serve people right, you treat them right, you know what happens? They tell others. I mean, quite frankly, that's the best advertising you can get. That's, you know, networking's just that on steroids. But in our community, we all talk. And I have a saying that says chatter brings the cheddar. And the thing what you've done in our community and network together, I think about what my other show host, Dr. Karen Perkins. I mean, her car blew out down here.
Oh, yeah.
And she had to get to Utah, right?
We did a transmission on it.
I mean, Sean's brakes went out. I remember you guys took care of her car. You know, you are someone we trust. You know, I've brought my vehicle in there before. But, you know, I can hear it enough times where it says, you know, Friendly Auto has fixed my transition. Friendly Auto has, you know, done my oil change. Friendly Auto has, you know, say it again and again and again. But again, the community itself is advertising for you because you do it the right way each and every time. And I think that that's something, because sometimes we talk about, you know, making a, you know, crud load of money, having a franchise, you know, who's really having that ownership. But one thing that you have is you have ownership in the conversation, you have ownership in the policies, you have ownership in being there just in time. And, you know, and you actually have ownership in every relationship that walks through that door. And that's one of the things that we were talking about today is, you know, do relationships matter to you? Well, of course they do. You know, what are some of the ways that you could tell other business owners to mind their relationships better? Do you have any pillars or points that you can share?
Well, you know, it's like grass. You know, you can't just throw seeds on the ground and expect it to grow. You have to water it. You have to nurture it. You have to check it. I have relationships with people. I mean, look, I've been in Network together since I opened. We're open over 6 years. And there are people I still do business with every day. One of your Melaleuca guys in my shop right now getting an oil change. My insurance lady from your group is coming here a little later. And now next week, the window washer guy is coming to my house because obviously it rained today. These are 3 Network Together people I've been dealing with since I started with you guys. And that's just the tip of the iceberg because we do the right thing. You know, and I'm going to give you an example. Jim loves telling this story. And about 2 years ago, he brought his car in, and he had been to the dealer for some recall, and they said he needed a front timing cover. And they wanted about $2,500. So he asked me how much it was for us to do it. And we were cheaper. We were around $2,000. So he said, go ahead and do it. And we started taking it apart. And we realized they were wrong. It just needed a front seal. The whole thing was like $200. I called him up, told him it's done. What do I owe you? $200. He goes, what are you talking about? Now, we could have easily taken the $2,000, he would never have known. Honestly, he'd never have known. But I know. Okay. And
Yeah.
he probably told that story 100 times. Okay. And I can't tell you from that story how much business I've gotten from it. When people say, oh, yeah, Jim told me about that thing with his Ford and the oil leak. And to us, it's a normal, everyday kind of thing. And to him, it was a huge deal because, you know, he's a man. For him to make that kind of money, he has to work a lot of hours and put a lot of effort in to do that. And we take that into consideration. And, you know, if I haven't heard from somebody in a while, I'll call them up. Hey, where have you been? Well, you know, I lost my job. I don't know, any kind of excuse. Hey, let us help you. You know, why don't we fix your car? And when you get your life back into order, then you'll pay me. It could be 6 months. It could be a year. And you know what? I still do it for people I know. And you know what? I haven't got burned for a single penny. And that's how you do relationships, and call people and share stuff. You know, you can't see it behind me except all my New York Jets stuff on the wall. There's a bookshelf that we have in here, and in our business center. We have a business center here. It's loaded with business books on every topic. It's got to be 200-300. I have given away books. People have come back. We have, you know, can I borrow this? I'll give you this. And we do that. And I've sat in the business office with other Network Together people and from other groups, and they'll say, what was a book that Steve read? And I'll say, here, let's go to my office. We'll thumb through it together. Here's a copy. When you're done, give it back or just pass it along to somebody else. And you have to nurture these relationships, because maybe they won't do business with you today, but they may refer a lot of business out to you. You know, we've had a few situations where people came to me and said, Steve, I want to come to you, but I've been with my mechanic for 20 years. And I tell them, no, wait till he dies. Then come to me. Because you know what? You got a good mechanic, you stick with him. It's like a good accountant or a good doctor. You don't leave, you know, for convenience. Leave when you're ready. And then when you come to me, we'll do the right thing. But, you know, every relationship, every single one you have, it takes effort. And if you just expect to go to a networking group and walk out of there with business, you're in the wrong networking group. You have to have one-on-ones. I can't tell you the power in those. And you don't talk about
agree. Yeah, and I say this much of the time, and I say this especially to people who are new to business. I can say, you may know what you know more than someone else, but they will always sell you better than you can sell you. And that's because there is nothing better than a satisfied client or customer giving a testimonial or a review for you. That's golden. Because, you know.
Yeah. And believe me when I tell you, satisfied customers are okay. Is that what you want, Robert? Satisfied customers?
Well, and I say satisfied customers is that, you know, I want
I'm just teasing you.
Outstanding, happy, mega blown customers, but you know, for lack of going too foo-foo on that, absolutely, I want customers that are like walking, talking showpieces, right, like glow sticks. Those aren't
right, but those aren't satisfied customers. Let me ask you a question. You want Sean to be satisfied or loyal?
You know, loyal. Well, you want to go deep. Then you want to go deep. I want her to be bound to me. She loves me so much. You know, that's what I want.
Anybody could be satisfied. Yeah, I had a great time. Or, wow, this was an amazing experience. I'm going to recommend this person time and time again. And that's what we go. We want the loyal wow factor.
You and I both beat me, you know, so it's just like I go to the keg not to be satisfied. I go to the keg because it's going to be a damn good piece of beef, right? So absolutely. And that's what you provide. It's not satisfied. It's being outstanding. And if you have outstanding, compelling, almost obsessive service to your clientele, they can't help but not think of you. It's the most memorable thing that you can do for them, so they refer back to you. So agreed.
Yeah. And you know, there's a lot of books I read on that. And it's just the way we do business is we want people. And if we lay an egg, and it happens, I mean, listen, we're in auto. There's a lot of moving parts in a car. You got, I don't know, 18, 20,000 parts in a car. You can make a mistake, but you know what? You do the right thing. You're man up. And if you make a mistake, you do it. Listen, we had a car got scratched in our parking lot. We didn't do it. It was actually somebody who had rented a U-Haul. you know what? They came in, they said, Steve, your car was scratched. It wasn't like that. And I looked and I'm like, yeah, you're right. It wasn't. Let's get it fixed. And we did. There wasn't even a hesitation. And they were so happy. They have 5 cars. I didn't even know that. And now they come get their car fixed all the time. For the $200 it cost me.
My overly satisfied wife, and I take
it easy on that. You can't be overly satisfied.
But also with the relationship, Steve, really, the auto part of your world is only a part of you. It's only a part of me too. That's just a transaction plus that we have together. It's our conversations, it's our diligence, it's our willingness to provide advice for each other. It's my goodness, you've turned me on to places in the Mesa area now that Sean and I are up here from Queen Creek that I wouldn't have known otherwise.
Oh, and, it's a great city.
Yeah, so we love living up here. But what I want to do is, right now we're at the end of the show. What I want to do is scroll your information across the screen here, and Steve Rozansky, Friendly Auto Center. Should be an S. Centers. I can act. This is what's great on live stuff is I can go back in here and I can correct it. But tell people how they can get a hold of you.
Well, you can reach us at friendlyautocenters.com. You can also tune in on Saturday
right
morning.
There, right? Friendly Auto Centers.
You spelled my name wrong, but that's okay. Everybody does.
What? Oh my God!
It's not Rozansky. It's Rozansky.
Oh my goodness!
You can also tune in. I do a radio show myself on Saturday mornings on 1580 The Fanatic Sports Radio, fun show, 9 a.m. on Saturdays. We're also live on Facebook. But Friendly Auto is located at 5026 East Main Street at Higley. And we're open Monday through Friday. You can call us 480-830-9377 or visit us on the web.
Now tell me, are you alone on that show, Steve? Are you alone on that show?
No, me and my lovely wife Felicia's on that show.
There you go. And, do you satisfy her or do you go above that?
No, my wife is wowed. Okay.
Wow.
And fiercely loyal. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to tell Sean that. I said, it's not just outstanding, honey. I got to wow you from now on, right?
I'm going to text her now that. Yeah. Okay. Oh, we'll have that conversation over a few beers. But,
all right.
But thank you for having me on the show. I certainly appreciate getting the opportunity to stop by. I'm actually going to go in the office and go talk to one of your other NT people because now I got 2 of them in my office. So it's all good.
All right.
So,
well, Steve, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. There we go. 2 right there. That's my 2.
No, this is 2 people. I'm counting 2.
2 right there.
You take care, Robert.
You too, Steve. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate you.
Bye now.
Bye. Well, wow, what a great interview with Steve Rozansky. He's getting back to some of the iNETrepreneur Network members that are there in his store right now. What a great time. I also want to thank Jim Gilloon of the American Red Cross. That's redcross.org, great organization that helps people who are really in catastrophes and needs. He said something about time, blood, money. Go to Jim Gilloon. He's a Network Together member. You might find him, coming to one of our virtual meetings now and then. But everyone, I hope you have a safe and happy holidays. Again, my name is Robert Jones. I'm owner and founder of the iNETrepreneur Network, and this show is about having fun, and I had a great time with my guest today. You guys take care. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You've been watching the iNETrepreneur Show, a production of the iNETrepreneur Radio Network with host Robert W. Jones. Join Robert each week as he visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor entrepreneurs worldwide. Follow Robert each Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.